Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the St. Louis Baseball Writers' Dinner.
Thank you for being here this evening. Myron said it, and I'll repeat it, rookies to legends. And I think there is a story I can tell you tonight that's going to kind of hopefully drive that home. The reason we're here this evening, as Myron mentioned, we're one of only three cities left that do this, but we're actually the only city that directs the money raised from this and from our chapter into internships and scholarships for aspiring journalists. I'm a direct benefit of one of the internships, the Rick Hummel internship. Received that in 2011 and was able to intern at the paper, and now I'm able to work there full time. So thank you for everyone who has been here before. Thank you to the people who are here for the first time this evening. And especially to the players, because if you guys were not involved and did not participate, then this would be hard for us to continue. So thank you to everyone who bought tickets, and thanks to the players for their attendance. I'll especially thank the table that I'm at, because they kind of fit the rookies to legends theme. And I was joking with Kamish earlier, Rick Hummel, I'm going to have to stop making age jokes, because when you sit at a table with Harrison Bader and Jack Flaherty and Jordan Hicks and Jared Munoz, you start to feel pretty old pretty quick. But rookies to legends, and I did want to talk to you about Mr. Hummel, who is a Hall of Famer in our midst, and he tells a great story about when he first interviewed at the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. It was in 1971. So the dinner was going on at this time, but not for too long. It started in 1958. And Rick Hummel showed up in St. Louis for a big internship. The Post-Dispatch was an afternoon paper at the time, which meant that he needed to be there around 4 in the morning. He was going to spend a couple days on the copy desk, and they were going to see if he was fit for the work. He told me that he left his hotel, the Jefferson Hotel, at about 3:30 in the morning and started walking to the Post-Dispatch so he could get there in plenty of time, only to come to find out that he was walking in the wrong direction. And he ended up having to get a taxi and was late to his interview. I asked him this, and he confirmed that was a rookie mistake. And he's turned out to be a legend.
And tonight, it is my pleasure to present the Branch Rickey Award, which goes to innovation in the game of baseball. Everybody knows how revolutionary Branch Rickey was. He created the modern sense of the farm system. He helped shatter the ceiling and integrate baseball. Tonight we honor two families with deep ties to both innovation and integration in baseball. The Branch Rickey winners tonight are Vera Clemente and the Clemente family, Rachel and Sharon Robinson and the Robinson family. They have familiar last names, but what they've done should be just as familiar. Vera Clemente and her son Luis, who is here tonight, they have been champions of the Roberto Clemente Foundation. They have founded a sports city, which was Roberto's dream in Puerto Rico. They have brought awareness to the damage done by Hurricane Maria. They host baseball clinics, and they offer scholarships and education. Luis is the founder of the Clemente Legacy Program, which urges young people to be goodwill ambassadors, not just for their families, but for their schools and for their country of Puerto Rico. The Jackie Robinson Foundation, one of the first things that Rachel Robinson did after founding the Jackie Robinson Foundation was to construct 1,600 lower income housing units. Their mission continues with scholarships, education. Rachel has been a winner of the Historic Achievement Award from the Commissioner's Office, a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Hall of Fame. Sharon is an educational consultant with MLB. Vera and Luis both work with Major League Baseball to continue the Clemente legacy by presenting the Roberto Clemente Award, which goes to humanitarian actions by current players. Yadier Molina won it this past year. All of these things wrap up to forever change through charity, education, philanthropy, and activism. What it means to be more than a ball player. What it means to have a legacy as a ball player. And that is why they're being honored tonight. Leonard Coleman, the former president of the National League, once said, "If there was a flood, I'd get next to Rachel Robinson. She stands on higher ground than the rest of us." I would argue that these two families, before you could step up, have already offered you a hand up. It is my distinct honor on behalf of the St. Louis chapter of the Baseball Writers Association to present the Branch Rickey Award to Vera Clemente and the Clemente family, Luis Clemente representing, Sharon Robinson and Rachel Robinson. Sharon could not be here tonight because of weather and a flight cancellation. And the Robinson family, their innovation was inspiration. Ladies and gentlemen, the Branch Rickey Award winners.
But I want you to give a word in regards to your feelings about sharing this with the Robinson family and Jackie Robinson's descendants.
It's so amazing that both of our families have so many similarities. You know, when you go to the numbers, Jackie was 42, Dad was 21. You know, Sharon is my sister. You know, we both represent and defend our family names in many different ways and aspects, and we are totally bonded. You know, I feel that the legacy between those two families, they compare that. They said that is the Latino Jackie Robinson. They share anniversary days, incredible. The year Jackie's 50th anniversary was Dad's 25th. So, you know, it's if you go down the story, it's quite a privilege. Happens that Mr. Branch Rickey, you know the story with Jackie, but I don't know if you know the story on the 22nd of November of *54. He actually was the one who acquired Dad from the Dodgers into the Pirates. So there's a legacy there that is part of the history. So we're extremely proud to accept this award, and definitely had a chance to meet Branch Rickey Jr. III when I played for the Pirates back in '85 in the minor system. So, you know, definitely quite an honor. It was definitely worth having those 3 planes to get here last night. And one other thing, you should be extremely proud, the St. Louis Cardinals organization should be extremely proud to have the most Clemente Award recipients. So that means your players are truly involved in the community and doing a whole lot. I was very pleased to hear about the Haiti. We're helping a baseball academy start up in Haiti as well, International
Great.
Baseball Academy in Haiti. So thank you so much for the opportunity of being here tonight.
We are proud that you made it here and that you took so much time and trouble to get here. Thanks, Luis.
Thank you so much.
Now, tonight's honoree was a key member of the Cardinals pitching staff for 5 of his 6 seasons in Major League Baseball. But his most important contribution to our community is through his charity, Brace for Impact 46.
Normally, I would say this man needs no introduction, but I have to remember that not everyone is as old as I am, so some people maybe didn't get a chance to see Lee Smith pitch, but kind of ironic that the baseball writers who put on this dinner were not the ones who actually got Lee Smith into the Hall of Fame. There's a good check and balance that the Hall of Fame put in where there's a veterans committee of former players, executives, managers, and coaches, and they looked at Lee Smith's credentials and they said he's a Hall of Famer. And it's hard to argue with that, it really is. I think sometimes as writers we overthink the award. 478 lifetime saves, 160 of them with the St. Louis Cardinals. So Jordan Hicks, you have a little bit of work to do, just not to intimidate you in any way, but. And also the reason I was excited to be able to present Lee Smith is when I got into covering baseball in 1998, he just had an aura about him. All the other writers I knew who covered him just had Lee Smith stories. He was so funny, right? He's from a small town in Louisiana. I can't tell all the stories here because not all of them are family friendly. When I covered teams in Arizona, we would play almost nightly pickup basketball games, and sometimes players, coaches, managers, executives would join the games because they started hearing about them. Well, Lee Smith joined us along with Bobby Evans, who'd been the farm director of the Giants, later the general manager of the Giants. And it was so fun because he kind of kept up this running monologue throughout the game. So if you passed it, you probably should have shot it. It was like having Bob Costas out there on the court. It was like he was calling the game, right? And he even did it for himself. When he took a jump shot, he would say to himself, "Get up, Smitty." And so I think to honor our next guest, I'd like to say, get up, Smitty. Welcome to the Hall of Fame.
Congratulations. We are so excited for you. Anybody that watched the Cardinals in the early 90s and your 4 years here knows that your 18-year career, you deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. Has it sunk in yet?
No, not yet. No, but to see all the guys here get back here into St. Louis, and I don't get back here very often. I hope they do a lot more of it. But the one person I think of all in this city I want to thank was Rick Hummel for making that phone call to ask me, and my good bud out here, Mr. Ozzie Smith, for all the plays he made behind me to help me be his teammate again. Thank you, Wizard.
Yeah, there's a few of us that can make that comment for sure. You were the dominant reliever at that time, the absolute dominant reliever in all of baseball. Of course, you spent a lot of your years with Chicago. Have you thought about your Hall of Fame speech yet?
No, had yet.
Not even thinking
I
about
think I got a couple of months to work on it, but I hope I don't get up there and choke.
I don't think you will. When you look back on your years in St. Louis, what sticks out to you? Not just being a teammate of Ozzie and of course being a part of the great organization, but what are some things that stick out for you?
Well, actually the first guy that was on this screen tonight, Mr. Red Shandine. I tell you what, it was a time that I always would talk about baseball and hang out with Red and things of that nature. And I remember, I don't want to get too long-winded because my little lady said cut it short. But Red came to me and said, "Hey, boy, I hear you from the country." I'm like, "Yeah, man, I'm deep in the bushes." And he knew what I was talking about, right? So he asked me about, going hunting. So we was going to go hunting. And I'm like, "Yeah, Red, I'm game. Let's go for it." So I'm thinking Red Shandine's Hall of Famer, player and manager and everything. We're going to go to some big-time store to buy a gun to go hunting, right? He said, "Okay, meet me at this." Gave me the address to meet him, and it was in the parking lot of Kmart. I'm like, "That's my kind of boy right there."
That's your guy.
Yeah.
Well, your career, again, 18 years in the big leagues, Hall of Fame, very well deserved. I'm honored to have been your teammate. This is actually known by several people, but I want to give these folks a chance to know a little bit about your pregame preparation, which was, I would say, slightly unusual.
Well, it consisted of a 5-mile jog, strenuous workout. And
Wait a minute.
Okay, I'll fess up. I went to sleep.
You went to sleep?
I went to sleep. I was trying to relax myself. I know Ozzie was taking care of things out there. So I wanted to relax a little bit. But I can tell you to this day, with guys like my old teammate Joe McGrain and all the guys, there was nothing better than waking up with a 3-run lead, man.
So you would literally sleep, and as my remembrance is that one of the grounds crew guys would have to go wake you up around the 7th inning. Is that right?
Yeah, the ground crew guy would come in, or my good buddy Buddy Bates would come in to make sure that I was awake and let me know what the score and make sure I had on the right uni.
No wonder you walked in so slowly from the bullpen. You were just waking up. We are so honored that you're here. Everybody in this place is thankful that the Hall of Fame finally decided to put you where you belong in National Baseball Hall of Fame. Let's hear it for Lee Smith. Congratulations, my friend. Thank you.
Up next, we honor the Ray Holtzman Award winner for achievement in sports other than baseball.
We have 3 hockey champions with us tonight. All of them are gold medal winners at the 2018 Olympic Winter Games and the 2018 Winter Paralympics in Pyeongchang, Korea.
It's a lot of fun. We have some of the most talented players in the world, so to have the opportunity to backstop them is an honor.
A great number of awards tonight to athletes for their accomplishments on the field of play. and rightly so. But our next award, decided and given by the Cardinals players themselves, is different, for it honors a St. Louis player for his contributions off the field, as a leader and a teammate. The Darryl Kyle Award, honoring the late Cardinals pitcher lost in 2002, has since then been given to some of the best men to ever wear the birds on the bat. This year is no different. It is my honor to present, on behalf of the Cardinals players, the Darryl Kyle Award to pitcher Miles Michaelis.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much to my teammates who are here. I hope you were some of the guys that voted for me. I was so flattered to win this award. I think if any player ever wins an award, they want to win one that's voted on by their teammates, the guys that they're with every day, something to say, hey, you're not such a bad guy to hang around with for 162 games. And then when I think about the qualities for winning the award, being a teammate, being a friend, being humble and being a good father, I think of just, the way I kind of try to model my life after one of my own personal heroes, woman in the back tonight, my wife, Lauren. She's the best friend, teammate, mother, and one of the most humble people I've ever met. So this award is a direct reflection of her impact on me and me just trying to be more like her every day of my life.
Our next honoree made his major league debut at Candlestick Park on August 30th, 1974, and it was a good one. He went 1 for 2 with 2 walks and drove in his first RBI in the 9th inning. Following that season, the Cardinals traded first baseman Joe Torre, now a Hall of Famer, to the New York Mets to make room for their budding young prospect at first base. Recognized as a fielder first, he snatched his first Gold Glove award from perennial winner Steve Garvey in 1978. Then in 1979, 40 years ago, time flies, he learned to be a hitter. He led the league with a .344 batting average, driving in 105 runs. He hit 11 home runs with 48 doubles, and believe it or not, 11 triples. For his remarkable season, he shared the National League's Most Valuable Player Award with Willie Stargell. It was the first and only time in Major League history 2 players received the same number of points from the Baseball Writers Association. From that season, he became a perennial .300 hitter and one of the top stars in the National League. The St. Louis chapter of the Baseball Writers is proud to recognize Keith Hernandez with the Brian P. and Bob Burns Award for nostalgia for that memorable season with the Cardinals 40 years ago. Keith, who has graced our dinner here numerous times, is unable to be here tonight, but he knows it's important, and he made a video for you all to see. Please look.
I would like to say how very disappointed I am that I cannot be here in attendance to accept this wonderful honor in remembrance of my 1979 season with the St. Louis Cardinals. I've got back issues that's going to require surgery. It'll be okay after that, but I am really disappointed that I can't be here. Thank you so much for this award and the Baseball Writers. It means a lot to me. It's 40 years, can you believe it? My goodness. So anyway, I look forward to coming to St. Louis when the Mets come to town, and thank you so much for this honor. And again, I wish so much that I could be there.
And last year, not only did Memphis repeat as the Pacific Coast League champions, they were runner-up to Durham for the AAA championship. This year they won the league and then won the AAA championship. Our players we're honoring tonight had a lot to do with that and then had a major impact with the big club in getting back into contention for a playoff spot the second half of the season.
What a great collection of young talent, isn't it? I mean, isn't that awesome what these guys did? And you know, this isn't the whole list, but these are 4 guys. And Austin Gomber won 5 games in the month of August last year. Certainly Dakota Hudson was a big part of that run as well. And so many other 9 guys making a major league debut. And Jack, I want to start with you since you're here to my left. Did the success of other guys help you feed off that? I mean, is that something that you felt some confidence because Jairo was doing well and Jordan was doing well and Harrison? Is that something that you built on?
I mean, I'd say it really makes it fun, you know, seeing these guys. And, you know, for us, we all know what each one is capable of, you know, coming up through the system and being with them, you know, aside from Jordan, who just got to skip everything. You know, but we all know what everybody else is capable of. And then when they start showing, when they come up and they start showing what they can do, it makes it a lot of fun, you know, really seeing them come out and play the way we know that everybody can play.
Apparently, if you throw 105, you get to skip some things, and Jordan Hicks certainly did that last year. Let me go to you, Jordan. Big star on our caravan that we just spent a couple of days together, and folks just wowing about what you were able to do last year. And I'll ask you a question. I asked you this a number of times on the caravan. Did you surprise yourself with what you did last year?
Yeah, I did surprise myself, but like I said, I know I'm always going to go out there and give it my all. It was a good surprise, though. I mean, 105 is always nice, but I'm just glad to be a part of that, like that history. Like I don't feel like it's not a thing that happens often, so I am proud of that. But at the same time, it's not something that I care considerably about, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and all of you have a lot to be proud of. Jairo was the best Cardinal hitter in spring training. Anybody who was there every day in spring training, he was the guy. And he played every day, played all the time. And his versatility was very important, playing a lot of different positions. Did you expect to have the success that you had last year, leading the team in batting average with runners on base? That's a pretty big deal. Did you expect that you were ready for that kind of level of play?
I always trust myself. I always try to put the ball in play when we have guys in score position. So that's one of the main things. I always trust myself and put a lot of work into be that guy who can contribute to the team every day. So I think that's very important. Be able to fit every role that might come up.
Great. And Harrison, last year, breakout season for you. And you know, nobody was championing you more than a guy that everybody in this room loves to death, Willie McGee. You two have a special relationship. Willie, for several years, was telling me, wait for Harrison Bader. Wait till you see this guy. And I know you enjoyed working with him, and you had him at the big league level last year as a coach. And did that help you maybe a little bit that you two guys had some past together that maybe you were able to have some confidence going into the season?
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, Willie, just especially as a young player, is just an incredible resource. And it's just incredibly fitting that being in center field, and he played center field when he did throughout his career, he's always there to ask questions. And anytime I felt kind of rushed at times, he was always kind of that voice and that person who was allowing me to calm my nerves behind the scenes, and just having that presence day in and day out just made my job a whole lot easier. So thank you, Willie.
Yeah, as Ben said, Harrison, your defense was awesome last year, terrific, and the way he would get balls in the gaps, et cetera. I assume you take a lot of pride in that, and I assume you take pride in the Heart and Hustle Award that you won as well, which is an award given by alumni of baseball that recognize a player that plays the game right. I assume that's a source of pride for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge source of pride. Just like you mentioned, I think you said it really well. Players who kind of go through the majors and they have their respective careers, they understand what it takes, and to get a nod like that from such incredible, distinguished company, it really does just mean the world to me. So I just hope to win that as often as I can.
you're getting the reputation as being, in St. Louis, we love this, kind of a blue-collar player. Would you describe yourself that way?
I mean, I guess to an extent, I guess I have to thank my father for just teaching me how to play the game the right way. And I've always just carried that throughout pro ball and high school and college and ultimately the big league. So I'll keep doing it that way.
I want to ask a couple of guys about what to expect from 2019 as far as their outlook. And Jordan, I'll start with you about where you hope to be in 2019. You had a terrific showing last year, and obviously the end of the game is important. Where do you see yourself, and where do you want to be, and what do you hope to be considered for in 2019?
I mean, I'd like to be in the back of the bullpen and just give my effort to the team. I mean, they're all out there giving it their all, and I'm just glad I can be a part of that. It's a great tradition, the Cardinals' history, and it's just an amazing feeling to be a part of that. Also, I'd like to thank Gary LaRocque and my family. Gary was huge for me. He definitely had my back, and also just the whole Cardinal system. So.
And Jordan, I want to ask you one more question about what you've been battling since you were 17 years of age, and maybe just a quick, and perhaps everybody in this room knows about it, but just a quick summary of what you deal with on a regular basis.
Well, I'm type 1 diabetic, if anyone in here didn't know. I take shots every time I eat, and one time every 24 hours. So it's just, I got a prick like 3 times a day just to see where my blood sugar is at, and so I can control it. And if I can control it better, then I'll be able to perform better. So
you did pretty well as it was, Jordan. You
Thank
did
you
terrifically. Much. There's plenty for all of us to be excited about. Congratulations to each and every one of you. Thank you.
On a night when we were celebrating and highlighting rookie contributors from this organization, it's fitting that a man who fostered so much of that success was, in fact, a rookie himself. Mike Shildt took over an underachieving team just before the All-Star break last season, and he imprinted it with the same characteristics that had defined his own climb from high school manager to now major league manager. He stressed fresh starts and fundamentals, communication and camaraderie. Above all, he'd tell us, baseball's to be fun. And he would know more than most, for this is a man who once polished the shoes of Cal Ripken Jr., someone who found no task too menial if it opened a door to baseball. For Mike Shildt, education came through immersion. And in 2018, you could say he aced his final exam. He shed the interim title just 46 days after taking over as the franchise's 50th manager, and he pulled a club sinking in the standings back to the cusp of the postseason. Under Shildt, the Cardinals reeled off 10 consecutive series wins and finished with 41 victories in their final 69 games. No team had more in that span. He won the respect of his players, one of whom perhaps best summed up Shildt when he said, "This is what this man was born to do." We asked Mike Shildt when he took over as manager if he found himself being recognized around town, and he kind of laughed at us and he said, "You guys, I don't get out much, so no, nobody sees me." A couple months later, we asked him the question again. We said, "Well, now are you being recognized a little bit more around town?" Mike looked at us seriously and said, "You guys just don't believe me. I really don't get out." So Mike, I'm glad we were able to get you out tonight, and I hope you're going to get used to being recognized a little bit more around this town. Tonight, we want to recognize Mike Shildt for a job well done by making him the first non-player to receive the Jack Herman Joe Ostermeyer Rookie of the Year Award. Congratulations, Mike.
Mike, congratulations, Rookie of the Year. Let me ask you this question. When I say Cardinals manager, Mike Shildt, what does that mean to you?
Eternally grateful for the opportunity to help steward this organization that I love so much.
It is an organization that you're the 50th manager. It goes back, there's some big names there. What have you learned from watching the Cardinals through the years?
Just the respect that the organization has, not only in baseball, but in this fan base. I mean, you're looking around and you appreciate the legacy that is the St. Louis Cardinals tradition, not only on the field, but off the field. It's an organization of class and dignity.
Let's talk about your rookie season. So 2018, July 15th, you take over as interim manager. What was the adjustment? What did you do to get that team to play like it did?
This has been I've been given way too much credit for this, Tom. Let's don't kid ourselves here. This is the group that turned this thing around. I was just there to help shepherd it, but yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it's a special group, strong leadership. We just mentioned the rookies, and I'm honored to be a part of what that looks like. And, you know, many more years, boys. So a lot more successes and some rings on some fingers.
This is why they love him. So let's talk about 2019. Who's ready for 2019? You ready? Mike Schilt, tell me about your ball club. It's been a busy offseason, and you've been rolling them out here at the winter warm-up. You ready to go? What do you think about this club?
Love this club. Love what we've done in the offseason, obviously. Tip of the hat to the front office, Mo, Gersh, the DeWitts, providing the support. You know, I had dinner last night with Goldie and his wife Amy, and, you know, I think we're going to appreciate him not only on the field, but he's a first-class guy. And Andrew Miller was able to have lunch with him. And, you know, a lot of texts I got about both these guys and people in the industry that I really respect. Wasn't about their ability. We know they're elite performers, but just the high character people they are that'll fit into this group right here that is extremely high character and talented as well.
You really do have a great group coming back. Tell us about your everyday lineup, or just the players that you'll be moving in and out of that lineup. Your offense looks pretty strong.
Really strong. Whole club looks strong. So you're talking about a deep group. You know, we're anchored behind the plate by Yachty. We appreciate his comments about defending our city. Yeah. So it's always good when you have that anchor behind the plate. Of course, Goldie will be manning first, and, you know, we have Colton at second, who really, unbiasedly, I felt like won the Gold Glove, but it's something to prove again, and it's taken shape in his whole game coming together. And Paul DeYoung, who continues to evolve as a player and a guy we can count on. And, of course, we got Carp back at third base, which I'm really excited about. And really a really underrated third baseman. I don't think people appreciate what he's been able to do, and he's getting back to a natural position. I'm happy that he's able to kind of have an anchor that he can count on. And you know, he's been such a great teammate on a lot of levels, but, you know, being willing to move around, and he's got the ability to move around, but it's good to have him anchor that high corner.
And then it was something that people refer to when they say why they think this team will be so good in 2019, pitching depth. Very strong in the rotation and the bullpen. Let's talk about your rotation first.
Yeah, I love it. You know, we just had a guy rightfully win the Darryl Kyle Award that is a stud on and off the field. Our man Miles, you know, is just workhorse, goes out, and I love his mentality, like the way he pounds the strike zone, throws inside. He's got all the weapons, so he's going to be a guy that'll continue to lead us. And, you know, we got Jack, who, you know, all those adjectives about him were accurate, and I can appreciate what Bob Gibson saw in Jack and sees in him, because I see similar things. And, you know, it's a guy with a high level of desire and fire, and loves the competition and has the ability to back it up. And then, you know, Michael Waka, you know, Michael has, you know, been a really solid performer for this organization for a while, and was on his way with Miles to the All-Star game before, you know, the oblique injury. So looking forward to get Michael back and logging some innings. And, of course, you have Waino. That's exciting. Anytime you can say Adam Wainwright, you got to be happy about that. And I saw him today. Looks great, having a wonderful offseason. And then last but not least, because there's not a least, you know, you look and people say, who's your ace? And you go, well, you just name the rotation. You can pretty much come up with it. Of course, we got Carlos Martinez that you know, looks like an opportunity for him to get back in that starting rotation. And here's the good news, you know, you've got depth past that. You know, and not only we talk about depth, you say, okay, you've got depth, that's great. We've got proven depth, we've got quality depth. And one of the things you mentioned about impression when I first got in the organization, regardless of who you talk to, whether it's scouting department or player development department, the evaluation wasn't a major league player, it was a championship player. And so I appreciate that, because that's what we seek. And we've got guys that have shown and proven they can do some things. And it's going to take, you know, our 25 and our 40-man roster to do what we hope to accomplish.
You do have to have a great bullpen to win. And we're also conditioned to ask, who's the closer? Who's the closer? But really, Mike, I mean, that situation could come up in the 7th inning, the 8th inning, and you seem to have a lot of pitchers who can get that job done, or at least have the potential to do that.
That's right. As you look at the way bullpens evolve, and, you know, if you got a nailed 9th inning, no doubt about it, but we've got multiple pieces that can handle different situations based on game situations. So, we'll be flexible. We'll put guys, that's my ultimate job, put guys in position to succeed. So depending on the order and what it looks like in the 8th or 9th, you could see different combinations. But the great news is you got some guys out there, they can get it done.
And what do you do between games in your off time? Are you getting out there more?
Not a lot, I'm a little socially challenged, Tom. But, I try to get out a little bit. I'm enjoying my opportunity to get into St. Louis and having a good time and getting acclimated in the community, and even a further appreciation of what a wonderful community this is. And the people have been great, and I'm enjoying getting out. So, but it's time to get rolling.
It is. It is that time. Mike Schilt, Cardinals manager, with us. Congratulations.
Well, we all know the Wizard, the man who defined the modern shortstop position. As a Hall of Fame baseball player and one of the most sincere men in St. Louis. But how many of you are aware that Ozzie played leadoff in the effort to bring one of the biggest sporting events in St. Louis history to our region here last summer? Many in professional golf have stated on the record that the 100th playing of the PGA Championship last summer at Belle Reve Country Club ranks as one of the most successful events in the history of the game. St. Louis broke every attendance record, every merchandising record, every corporate support record, and almost every record for temperature and rainfall in the process. Through it all, St. Louis shined in front of a global audience of 500 million viewers.
Where you could see the Cardinal red. And Tiger himself had the red shirt on. And Sunday was a lot of fun, wasn't it? I mean, the whole time.
It was a great week. It was fun watching that, and that sea, to see him when he walked over the bridge, that sea of people, that's something that will be in my memory for a long time.
One of our major objectives from the very beginning was to really create a platform to show the world what this town has to offer, not just from a sports standpoint, but from a cultural standpoint. And you heard the great comments from the players, not just about how big the fan base was, but how respectful and knowledgeable the fan base was. Not only is this the greatest baseball town in the country, it's the greatest sports town in the country. And it was neat for us to be able to host an event that showed St. Louis in such a positive light.
Great example of a sports town, a great example of a town that takes care of problems that it has with the help of people like Ozzie Smith. And people walked away with a much different view of St. Louis than they started with, and we couldn't be prouder of that.
When the Cardinals signed Miles Michaelis, he had spent the previous 3 years in Japan, and even he said he didn't know what to expect. He told us today that he surprised himself. All the Cardinals got in his first season back from Japan was someone who led the National League with 18 wins. He went 18-4 with a 2.83 ERA and 32 starts. All they got was somebody who finished 6th in the Cy Young voting. All they got was one of the most relentless strike throwers in baseball. He had the lowest walk rate of any starter in the major leagues. Get this, 3 out of every 4 batters he faced saw a first pitch strike. On his last start of the season, as the Cardinals dug their fingernails in and tried to hold on to a playoff chance, at Wrigley Field he pitched 8 innings, did not allow an earned run, struck out 6, and didn't walk 1 boring Cubs batter. Wrigley, you might remember, was also the site of a little St. Louis excitement. It started with a breakfast that had some salsa on it, and then went on to be arguably the most impressive offensive day ever by a St. Louis hitter. On July 20th, Matt Carpenter hit 3 home runs, had 2 doubles, went 5 for 5, set a club record with 16 total bases, drove in 7 RBIs by the 6th inning. Now, Mark Whitten had hit 4 home runs and had more RBIs, but didn't have as many total bases and didn't have 5 hits. Some guys named Jim Bottomley, Rogers Hornsby, Stan Musial, those guys, had 5 extra base hits, but didn't go 5 for 5 and didn't have the 3 home runs. That's what made Matt Carpenter's day stand out, and that it was against the Cubs. That was part That was part of a 79-game stretch where Matt Carpenter hit .332, got on base .433, and had a 1.154 OPS. He doubled his OPS for the season in that stretch with 100 hits and 30 home runs. He took a run and flirted with becoming the first National League player to lead the National League in home runs and doubles since Willie Stargell in 1973. He finished 9th in the MVP voting, scored 111 runs, hit 36 home runs, and had an .897 OPS, which ranked among the leaders in the National League. The only other comparable first baseman with that kind of production is now his teammate, Paul Goldschmidt. They were 1 and 2. All the numbers aside, perhaps the best way to measure the seasons that these two gentlemen had was by the stories they told me. During spring training, I had the chance to have dinner with Miles Michaelis and his wife, and he told me about his dream of being on the wall at the sub shop that he grew up going to, the Connection there in Jupiter. Some of the luminaries on this wall are Dom DeLuise, Burt Reynolds, Tiger Woods, Rick Ankiel. Yeah. Miles told us that he is now on the wall. An all-star season, a Cy Young finish has put him on the sub-shop wall in his native Jupiter. While sitting in the dugout in Atlanta, as Matt Carpenter wrapped a bat, he told me that he had only kept one souvenir home run. You know, when someone has a milestone home run or a milestone game, they get a ball. You know, first win, first stolen base, you get the base. You know, first save, the pitcher gets the ball. Carpenter told me that he had only one souvenir baseball from his career entering this season. Exiting it, he had 7 more, including his 100th career home run, new career highs for home runs, which he set and reset and reset and reset. Most runs scored at Busch Stadium, too. And he tied and surpassed Lou Brock's leadoff home run record for a season and for a career. It is my pleasure on behalf of the St. Louis Chapter of Baseball Writers of America to introduce this year's winner of the J.D. Taylor Spink St. Louis Baseball Men of the Year, the Sub Shop Hero, and King Salsa, Matt Carpenter and Miles Michaelis.
Congratulations to both of you for this very prestigious award. Standing ovation, very well deserved. Derek did a terrific job of taking us through the numbers. And as we go back and look back at these magical seasons for you two guys, Matt, when you think back on July and August and some of those numbers that Derek gave, you hit 20 home runs in those 2 months, including that day on the 20th of July. Is that as locked in as you've ever been in the big leagues?
Hello. What a teammate. Yes.
That was worth waiting for, I must tell you. And let me let you expand on that by talking about the evolution of your season. And we know that it was a difficult start for you. You were hitting 140 somewhere in the middle of May, but yet you just went on a tear.
You know, really, for many reasons, this year was special for me. Like you mentioned, to start off so poorly, to really struggle out of the gate, and to be kind of just really carrying the weight of not only my personal season but our team season on my shoulders. Just the feeling of the start that we had gotten off, you know, as a group and me individually. And to see it turn around, to be able to accomplish what we accomplished as a group, and you know, to come so close at the end there, it was a lot of fun. A lot of great things happen, and really, what it does is it makes me that more excited for what's ahead.
And one of those great things was the young players emerging that had such a big impact in the month of August. And Matt, very quickly, you're a veteran in this game, and you and I were talking at dinner that Jason Mott likes to say, and we both thought it's a pretty profound statement, that in baseball, the days are long, but the years are short. And you become a veteran pretty quickly. What are your thoughts about these 9 guys that came to the big leagues last year?
I mean, we are so lucky here in this organization for many reasons. But I mean, if you look over there across the room, the young players that we have, just from a talent level, I mean, I think it speaks enough just from what you see from a talent level. But Schulte mentioned this a little bit earlier, but the character level is through the roof too. We got young guys that want to be great, they want to win, they want to represent this city and this organization as well as they can, and it's really a thrill to go to the ballpark every day and see them, because it's just, you know, it makes it that much more fun to go to work when you got guys like that are as hungry as they are and as talented as they are and want to win.
Some of those talented guys were in the rotation, rotation miles that you led by being as consistent. Think about this word, as consistent a starting pitcher in all of baseball. I dare you to find somebody that was more consistent than Miles Michaelis, winning the 18 games, 29 walks in 32 starts. Have you always prided yourselves on that word, consistency? Is that something that you've always had, or have you developed that over time?
I think my wife would attest that I'm very much a creature of habit. So consistency is something that I take a good deal of pride in, and being able to carry that, you know, consistency in my everyday life out to the baseball field is something that I do indeed enjoy as well.
So you were a dominant pitcher in Japan, and the Cardinals found you. Other people were bidding on you during last offseason, but the Cardinals really saw something in you, and boy, were they right. So you said you maybe surprised yourself a little bit on what you did, but as you think about your years in Japan, and now that you've had time to maybe really digest the season of 2018, what are some of the things that made you the top-level elite pitcher, all-star? What are the things you learned while pitching in Japan?
You know, first I'd like to thank the Cardinals organization for giving me the opportunity to come back to the major leagues from Japan. And the things I learned over there were mainly to just, you know, stay within myself and know what I'm capable of as a pitcher, and kind of, you know, stick to my guns in that manner. You know, I'm not going to go out there and throw 105 like Hicks over there, and I'm not going to strike out 13 guys like Flaherty, but I can pound the zone with my stuff, and I can get outs, and I can let Bader catch all those fly balls.
And that's sounds like a pretty good plan to me. Speaking on behalf of Cardinal fans, we're very happy and honored to have you guys representing the Birds on the Bat. Congratulations on great seasons, and look forward to a great 2019. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Red would have loved to have been here tonight to deliver this medal. I don't know if I'm the next best person to do this, but I dare say I've known Bob Costas as long or longer than anybody in this room. Go back to 1974 with the Spirits of St. Louis, and Myron Holtzman, Bob and I were there every night wondering what time Marvin Barnes might show up, or if he would show up. After his Spirits days, of course, Bob went on to NBC and do Olympics and NFL and NBA and become the best interviewer in sports and beyond. Last year, the National Baseball Hall of Fame honored Bob in ceremonies at Cooperstown, and tonight we honor him with the Red Medal for invaluable service to baseball.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I am beyond pleased to receive the Red Medal. It means a great deal to me because Red Schoendienst embodied so much of what is enduringly great about baseball in St. Louis. The history, the generational connections, the unique relationship between the team and its fans. And because Red was such a fixture and such a beloved and, as Rick said, unassuming man, maybe we should take a moment to remind ourselves of his Hall of Fame accomplishments, accomplishments he would never mention. 10 times an All-Star, many seasons batting over 300 with a high of 342. And at various times he had seasons where he led the league in hits, in doubles, in stolen bases, and in plate appearances. The year he led in plate appearances,
He came up 711 times and struck out 27. The game has changed. As you know, Red managed the Cardinals to 2 pennants in the 60s, and as a coach and special assistant, he was part of all the team's successes in the 80s, 90s, and on into the new century. He was, of course, Stan Musial's longtime teammate and best friend, but he also played with Willie Mays on the Giants and Hank Aaron on the Braves. But of course, he was first and always a Cardinal. And in this town, he truly did, as the award says, render invaluable service to baseball. I'm sure I could never meet Red's standard, but I hope I have been a good citizen of the game. I hope that in various ways I've contributed something to people's enjoyment and appreciation of the greatest game of all, our national pastime. This past year has been a dream come true for me, and outside of Cooperstown, the center of it all has been St. Louis. The Cardinals and the people of St. Louis have, as they have always been, so gracious and so kind, and I will always be grateful. You know, I've gotten to the point where I'm beginning to feel over-honored, but when it's St. Louis, the appreciation is so mutual that, well, when it comes to this town, it never gets old. Thank you all very much.